What's going on? This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today's chapter is with Jesse Pierpoint. Jesse Pierpoint is a mixed media artist known for his ability to weave reminiscent imagery and symbols into captivating artworks that connect people with their most significant memories. With a profound understanding of the powers of nostalgia, Pierpoint creates evocative pieces that resonate deeply with viewers. Jesse started a branding and design company within 2 years of graduating college and was teaching college-level design 2 years after that. From 2010 until 2018, he served as a creative director at 72, a digital agency in Spokane, overseeing projects for companies like Amazon, AT&T, Disney, Pokemon, and more. Years of live painting for nonprofit and corporate events and a past that involved college-level athletics gave him the idea for a friendly competition between artists. In 2011, he launched the 7-2 Draw-Off, a series of live art battles that support local charities. Since then, he's been working on new collections, commissions, and supporting nonprofit organizations through live painting across the nation. Jesse's branding and design company is called Background Creative, which is a collective of creatives in the Pacific Northwest specializing in branding, strategy, and creative storytelling. They work behind the scenes to execute ideas to elevate brands. Jesse, my man, what's up?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for the intro.
Yeah, man. It's a good one.
I need to write a shorter story.
I think it's great. I think, I love when I'm able to do research on people that come on and the intro is, made easy. This was just pulled from his website, but it just gives everything you really need to know about you in a short amount of time, and gives people a little texture before we just dig into the conversation.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's start with your backstory because I don't know that fully. We've known each other 10 plus years now, but I don't know where you were born or any of that story.
And we start the old school origin story, starting from the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was born in California.
Okay.
I won't put the date out there. I don't want to sound too old, but raised in kind of all over California. I'm a preacher's kid, so we moved around a little bit. Mm-hmm. Lived in Hayward, California, outside Oakland, Southern California, and Santa Rosa. Kind of moved around during those times.
Cool.
Went to college to play football, and got injured, and decided to kind of focus on art, design, and marketing. Mm-hmm. And so I've always loved to draw and paint and create. And then the marketing side was that way of figuring out the why behind it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What was your injury in football?
I had an ankle injury that required surgery and just never really made it back. And then quite a few concussions, unfortunately. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah.
What was it like, though, training and playing at a college level for a while? Like, what did... obviously you had a certain mentality back then to even reach that plateau coming out of California as well. A lot of competition to sift through down there. So
I love sports, so I've always enjoyed playing sports, and it was kind of a way to compete, do something with a team, and it was kind of a way to get out of things, stay out of trouble. So.
Yeah.
So to be able to do that in college was great. It was a lot of work. It was a full-time job, and you go to school. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So you also are a phenomenal painter. I feel like, especially lately, like your artwork has really been getting to a certain type of level of exposure. And have you been painting since you were young, or when did the artistic endeavors begin for you?
Sure. I started drawing and creating when I was little. I think it was, when I could hold something. Mm-hmm. For me, I struggled in school, like paying attention. I think I have ADHD, things like that. And I used to draw and take notes, and they used to call it scribbling. So I get in trouble for doing that, but that's how I kind of learned,
Hmm.
and just took notes, and it was able to focus really well doing that. Drew quite a bit throughout school, started painting in high school, and then really kind of dove in college.
Do you remember, like, was it natural that you just ended up painting in art class, or what was it that got you to start painting?
I was painting. I didn't really have too many art classes in high school. I think it was just another way to create.
Your parents don't paint or anything like that?
My grandma was a great illustrator, great artist.
That's
So it
cool.
was fun to watch, some of the stuff she made. But yeah, it was just something I like to do. It was I never really fit in too many places, so that was my way to do something where I didn't really have to fit in anywhere and just do my own thing.
Did you feel like that all through school, like that not fitting in aspect,
Yeah,
or?
I kind of feel like that all the time, but yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I'm just curious because I feel that way a lot of
yeah.
times too. And I would never guess that about you, you know, and a lot of people don't guess that about me. Like whether that's, I don't know if it's not necessarily social anxiety, but I just find that the way I think sometimes is not standard, maybe. And so I feel a little bit absolved from normal
Yeah.
groups of friends and stuff. I've always felt like I'm kind of like a satellite with my friend groups. Like I come around them, but I'm not like in the group, you know, like I'm welcomed
Yeah.
around, but I'm not like with them day to day kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I was just curious, you know, your thought process on, yeah, I mean, since the topic came up, what are some of the ways you feel you deal with that in a healthy way? It sounds like through your art then. That's like kind of an outlet you found.
Yeah, art definitely helped
Yeah.
for that, and uh, sports used to help with that as well.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a little bit older, you can play a little less sports, but you find different outlets and ways to connect. So some of that could just
Yeah.
be insecurity, and
Yep.
that you're working through, and yeah,
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't drink for like 2.5 years, so it was really hard feeling like fitting in without drinking. I've recently had a few drinks, you know, a few nights out, and I gotta say it's been nice, you know,
to be
but keeping
it's
that
hard
balance,
it's hard
you
to
know.
feel like you're not plugged in or connected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, with socializing in our society, it's just so centered around drinking. I mean, it really is. And so I felt like I've grown over the years. So I was like, you know, I'm going to implement it back. And I feel like I'm a much more mature man than I was before. And also, I just have a healthy understanding and fear of what I need to do to respect it. So it's been good, though, having a few drinks and socializing.
yeah,
Anyway, that was my point of like feeling a little bit more able to, I guess, fit in or whatever in that way sometimes. Like when I do need to socialize, like having a few drinks. So
yeah.
we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I know I've been through that myself, and
Yeah.
I know just to go out sometimes I would try to find ways to, make that work, and order like a soda and lime, and it
Yeah.
looks like you're having
Having
a
a drink,
cocktail,
right.
but not nowadays. More and more, there's more places that have a bunch of options for like non-alcoholic stuff, so it kind of allows everybody to kind of be there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they got a lot of great mocktails out there nowadays. So let's veer back towards you, my man.
Okay.
What, like, how would you describe what you're currently doing so we can just get that out the way right here in the beginning, with what you do with your fine art, your painting, and background creative?
Sure. Yeah. So everything I do is to serve others. People ask, "Am I a designer? Am I an artist?" I'm kind of just we make things, and and serve others. So, what the format is a little different from time to time, but it's all in service. So, but yeah, I've been working on some fine art, mostly commission pieces, some new work for like upcoming shows, and then we take care of a handful of clients for their branding, marketing, social media, things like that.
You have Zephyr, correct?
Yeah,
With background?
so we working with the Spokane USL.
So Velocity and
Zephyr. Yeah, sure. So I'm not sure when this will come out, but August 17th, Zephyr will play their first match here in Spokane. So if you're out there, go catch some of those games.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're doing a big push on getting all their. We're about to reveal their kits and selling tickets and doing a lot of fun stuff with them, and then still doing quite a bit with Velocity as well.
Yeah.
For that client, yeah, they're great.
So background creative, it's basically an ad agency or design agency.
Sure, yeah, it's like creative agency.
More creative,
Yep. So we partner with other groups that specialize in things that we don't do, whether that's media buying or editing, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So if somebody were to potentially want to be a client, what kind of full spectrum services would you or can you offer?
Sure. Great question. Thanks, bud. Anything from branding to marketing materials, anything to help you launch a business, keep it going, get your name out there, tell your story, social media content, that kind of thing.
Website design. Yeah. How long is background? Is background the one you started 2 years after graduating? Has that been like one thing you've had for a while, or
the
is
one
this?
thing I've had for a while is just kind of my own. Yeah,
Okay.
People just call me to do stuff. So
Right.
yeah, I kind of pulled background together and formed it just to bring other people in, so people worked with a bigger collaborative group that wasn't just about me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how long have you had background now?
That name's been around about a year, so it's pretty new.
Pretty new,
name-wise, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, you landed some great clients right away with Velocity, Zephyr. Obviously, they've been pretty big deal in town since Velocity started playing, at least.
Yeah.
So that's
Super
sweet to
fun,
be
yeah.
behind that.
Yeah, it ties back into that sports background too that I really love to
Right.
find a way to be in, whether that's from art or design.
And we were talking off camera, your son's playing soccer right now at a pretty high level, it sounds like.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch him grow and develop and continue to play.
Yeah.
Then we have 2 daughters playing volleyball and one playing tennis.
One playing tennis. You have 5 children though, correct?
Yep, 5 total.
Yeah.
Yeah, one is not
About it.
not loving sports, but she's incredible about art.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
That's cool.
she's better than I am. It's incredible. Yeah.
What's her name?
Ava.
Ava.
Yep.
Very cool. What are your other children's names? Just to shout them out.
Yeah. We have Zofia. She's the
Sophia?
youngest.
All right.
Rowan,
Rowan.
Ava, and Sienna. They're twins. And then
Okay.
Kenny
Kenny.
James at the top.
All right.
Yeah.
Shout out Jesse's kids.
Yeah.
Going to be all-stars, just
Yeah.
like the man himself.
Before I forget, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my wife, Marta.
Marta.
Yep.
Marta.
So,
We got to shout out Marta. Come on now.
I
There we
can't-
go.
I can't do any of this without her. So,
Right.
Yeah.
She's, good call. That was a good call, man. That might have been a problem. So do you want to shout out any other clients you got for background?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see if I can remember a few more.
Yeah, any that stand out.
One of them is a golf company, a golf brand out of San Diego with a great person I've gotten to work with over the years. The company's called Y Golf and does a line of training aids and tools to help golfers suck less at golf. I think that's their tagline. It's been a blast to work with them. It's really fun. They say all the things that you would say on the golf course, and then they try to figure out ways to fix those things in a simple manner. So yeah.
Yeah, I probably need to sign up with them and buy some product if I ever start golfing.
They have some good tools. I've gotten to use a few of them and helped knock some of the score down. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So do you do a full product design as well at background, or is that?
We help with product design. We do a lot of the packaging, retail, promotion. So if you have a product or an idea, we can help bring it to market.
Right.
Yeah, anywhere from helping you design out that right packaging, getting it to the right people, the right places, and then doing like retail, POP, even website kind of landing pages, email blast for that. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I just was like, I want to make sure if you did like CAD or like tech packs, like
No.
for like how deep does it go? Because I know you know so many great people and they all got well-versed skills. So I was just curious if that was a service you offered as well.
Typically, clients will have those kind of nailed down before they come to us.
Yeah. You're just about making it all look good, feel good, and making the story cohesive and yeah, very cool.
Let's see. Another client I've been working with for a long time is Eric Headland Design, their architecture firm out of Coeur d'Alene. And Eric and his team have been really helpful for me, both on the design and the art side. So I've been really grateful for opportunities to paint for a lot of great clients that he's introduced me to, as well as help them with their brand.
Seen recently on Instagram, you had put I think it was a painting of a boat in the house out there. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Was it a Standcraft?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, those things are
great to paint with as well. So,
have you commissioned paintings for them directly?
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge, man.
Yeah, works of art. Those boats.
Those boats
incredible.
Are never been in one yet, but maybe the day will come.
Yes.
When I meet rich friends like you have. Yeah, no, that's cool though. You're working with Standcraft. Their new like boat they came out with this year. I think it's fairly new.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, right. It looks like a wake setter. Is it a wake setter? Can you wake surf behind that thing? It looks like you could. I saw one on the lake the other day going by. Everybody was like, "Oh, look at this!" Like everybody knew what boat it was and was like kind of freaking out. I'm like, "Dang, that's a special boat."
It's works of art.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do it.
That woodwork too inside is just amazing. Shout out Standcraft. You ever want to throw me a boat? I'm open here. You know, we could put a sponsorship on the podcast, you know. Anyway, so you have background create. Are there any other clients you're thinking of? Maybe you want to shout out?
Well, I'm going to get in trouble for leaving some people off.
That'll be all right.
Yeah. We work with some an esports company out of Dallas.
Yeah.
Called Game Square. And we've gotten to work on quite a few different brands with them, through them. Started that during COVID. And the first project we did with them was with the NFL. So it was a lot of fun doing projects for them over the years. But
nice. What is one of your favorite aspects of helping build another person's brand and helping them build their story? What do you find most exciting for you about that process? And yeah, that's my question.
It's a good question. I think I personally love being able to solve a problem for somebody in a creative way.
Yeah, I think for me, like with what I do with Third Kind Design, it's about sometimes when you do execute a project well to make a client's vision come to life, when they don't maybe have those skill sets like me and you might have, or people part of your collective might have, to like bring that to life and making that client feel that they were really taken care of, and knowing that that product or what you created for them is going to help their brand, their business to succeed. because as designers, me and you both know, like imagery and the aesthetic of a brand is huge. I mean, it's a core part from my standpoint, especially. I feel like, I mean, there's some companies out there that make crazy money and you never hear of them, and their website's still from the 90s. But like as we keep going into the future and new brands emerge to be a new brand, especially, you have to have kind of those things set in place to build. And so being able to help that be possible for somebody's vision, I think is a beautiful thing. And I think, there are aspects for me too that I like to help serve certain clients, right? Like I enjoy working with them, and it's exciting to be able to make something or design something that they're excited about.
Yeah.
So I think that feedback for me is like when the client is really excitable and stoked when the product's delivered and they're like, oh man, this is exactly what I wanted, or this is better than what I even thought it was going to be. There's something cool about being that guy that helped facilitate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to find a way to add value and help others. Yeah. That's awesome.
What are some of the future plans for Background Creative at this time? Is it just to continually just keep kind of building the roster, or you maybe have intentions of keeping the roster more small so there's more focus on bigger clients, or what does that kind of look like for you?
Yeah, I think just trying to find the right clients and find the right people. And then for me, I'm trying to continue to learn how to be a better leader, how to be a better designer or director, and then just find the right team to pull together, which is really, really difficult, challenging. So just honing our offering and our messaging to find the right people to work with, and go all in with them. So
I've been thinking about, because I've been doing third kind design all by myself for 7 years, and it's hard working all by yourself. And so I'm definitely at that place where I'm like, how do I maybe, one, start being in the mindset of like, I got to build this business, and that means getting employees. And so that I kind of step away from the fear that I have of like the responsibility to employees and all that kind of stuff. Or, the other idea is like merging with with a company, taking my skill sets there potentially, because I just don't want to work really by myself anymore. I definitely thrive in team environments. And so like the solo lone wolf grind, I've done it and I can do it, but I don't want to do it. It's not enjoyable. I definitely feed off of being able to create and think with others on a project. I think that's just natural for us as humans to be that way.
yeah,
So
there's something to be said about working alone or working by yourself, and whether or not you're on a team. If you are in your basement or in a space all by yourself for an extended period of time, it's not that healthy.
Yeah, which you work at home, right?
Yeah, I spend quite a bit of time by myself.
Me too.
We have a lot of meetings and
At least that
times
helps
that
a bit.
we talk to other people through Slack or email or text. But I don't know about you. I've been really struggling with not loneliness, but not being connected. So not seeing people.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't know if that's something that most people our age are struggling with, but I know I am. That's been tricky to navigate just with schedules and responsibilities, is getting the right time with people, connecting with the right people on a regular basis. So I've been struggling with that challenge, with that, trying to get more time with good friends, mentors, teammates, and family.
Yeah.
Because for me, I can sit and work 15 hours a day and not look up. Or on certain days, I'll be working early and then driving kids around, and you still don't see anybody like the whole day outside of the kids, dropping them off, picking them up.
Yeah.
It's kind of you find yourself really disconnected, even though you're not by yourself. You're, I don't want to use the word lonely, but you're definitely out of the loop, disconnected. Yeah.
I relate to that at a very deep level, my friend. Very deep level. I really struggle with loneliness, for lack of a better word. And you use the same word that I use, feeling disconnected, like just not feeling connected to community. Or I think that's, I've said it before, I think that's part of why I do city chapters. It's like my way of trying to find community or build a community or something of that nature. I'm still figuring it out. I don't even know how I got really down this path, but I'm down it, and I'm like, well, where can I take it? I think the podcast this is one way for me during these times, like when I'm on in a recording, in a podcast, I don't feel disconnected during these times. But it's as soon as I leave again, I'm like, what's the point of the podcast, man? Like, everybody's doing it. Like, it's, those are the voices that will go through my head. Then, of course, I do have people that always save me, because they'll be like, oh, I just listened to this podcast and I really enjoyed this part of it, or that part really helped me, or that person's perspective. So getting that feedback is a lot of what has helped keep me going. So shout out to those people that listen and tell me they're listening as well, because it's really helpful. But behind the scenes, when I'm not in front of this camera, I'm basically by myself. And I think for me, like me implementing drinking again into my life was like a way to try to like cure this loneliness, because I did 2.5 years, and I still, through that 2.5 years, was not finding any connection with people. And it's like, man, I rather have some of the risk that comes with drinking to have a feeling of at least some connection too.
Yeah.
And so it's hard, because I've been an advocate for, I want to say an advocate. I don't push my agenda on anybody or my decisions on why I don't drink or do. I do things for what I feel the time being is needed. But it was really over, especially the last few months, like I was just at a place where it was like I was feeling so disconnected, so like just lacking socializing, like just total lack of like feeling connected to friends, feeling connected to community, like just feeling like not seen, you know what I mean? And it's hard to describe that. I think a lot of us in our society are dealing with that as men, maybe women too. I don't speak to women so much about that topic, but it seems to be pretty prevalent. And I only can root it back to like the fact that, for a long time we were with our tribe every day, every night we were around a fire with them, talking with our boys. And we don't have that no more. We're so busy, and sometimes it feels like we're so busy doing nothing. You know what I mean? But I think that's kind of like, but perception's funny, because I would never see that for you. Like when I see your artwork, your paintings, I'm like, those are so amazing,
Yeah. And it's
like,
kind of the fake side of social media too, right? You get to see a finished painting where it's up and it looks nice, hopefully, but you didn't see, the weeks when you're in the studio by yourself, just grinding, hoping to get it done, get it right, But those times are they get a little tricky. They get tough. You got to stay discipline to continue and push through. And but yeah, something I've been really working towards is trying to get time with people that are good, people to be around. And one thing that I really have been grateful for is this group of guys I meet up with once a week, every Wednesday morning for coffee. Sometimes there's an agenda. Most of the time it's just to catch up and see how everybody's doing. And it's fantastic. So shout out to my guys at Wednesday Consulting. Awesome dudes. We came up with a fake name. Just we don't consult anything. It's great. We could. There's a lot of smart guys in the room.
Right.
Most of them, all of them, are smarter than I am for sure. But it's just nice to see other guys just going through it and all dealing with similar things, even though it's very different. But yeah,
that's huge. I think something like that is very important. I've, had kind of some things like that for short periods of times, but it's always been like eventually it just stops happening for whatever reason with these previous groups. And same thing, we're all busy, schedules change, whatever. But I think that, that commitment to brotherhood is an essential part of our health, and also I find too that when I just like step away from the grind, I get more energy and more inspiration to do what I do. And I do it with more love and passion than if I'm in the grind by myself, day in, day out. It just isn't enjoyable. Like I find almost like 50-50, like if you can 50% of the time hang out with your friends and people like that's probably extreme for a lot of people, especially people with families and kids like yourself. I don't have that. So like to me it's probably more reasonable for me to think that, but not having like this ultimate demand on myself to like only work. I've tried it that way, and I just find that I just hit mental blocks everywhere I turn. And when I go out into the world and live life, even if money's tight, like just figuring out smaller things to do or just saying, hey, I'm not going to have fear of money and all that things. Like I have this belief that I'm going to live life and life is going to take care of me. And so I lose that perception at times where it gets dark and I forget to live life. And I'm just like, the answer is I got to work more. I got to grind more. And then I always come back to the idea that I'm not a workaholic in the essence of where I feel all I want to do is work. And there's people that I know that do that and they love it. Seemingly that's what they seem to really truly want to do. And I think it is unfortunately a big necessity in finding probably success, in some realm. Like there is a lot of hard work that has to be done to reach tiers of high success or stability, at least in life. Like for most people, that's just not given. But finding that balance to not lose living life too is something that I'm working on. If that's even just throwing the Frisbee in the park, I've been doing that with some friends lately, and I feel so good when I'm out there doing something like that, or just going to the lake and, hopping in the lake and just refreshing your mind and your body with some water is just like another thing that just, I don't know, brings more inspiration for me to go back and be like, that's why I do this. I want to do that in all other places of the world or whatever, to have more fuller experiences than just working 24/7.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
well, hopefully something like this can springboard you to be able to do something like that. Get out, go experience things, travel.
Right, and I have, but it's like I've traveled quite a bit, but it's never been like consistent. I feel like I want to figure out how I could get to that tier of being able to do it more consistently, you know, and you have to have some financial stability to do that. Typically it's like I'll save up a bunch of money. It's like, all right, we're going on a trip. And then it's like, you know, a little bit depletes the funds, I guess. And so, I mean, that comes with just time in business and maturity and understanding things differently on a financial standpoint than I did before when I was young. And I'm also kind of recklessly living life, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think I don't know the answer to like this disconnected feeling that a lot of us are experiencing. But I mean, it's a big part of like why I want to do this podcast is topics like this, because it's affecting our city, our community, our, you know, our society as a whole, to where, you know, when you feel disconnected, it's hard to have a true sense of belonging and kind of love for people too, because you feel like nobody really is there for you or cares for you or whatever that is of why we're feeling not essentially. My perspective is like feeling appreciated of or thought of or things like that, you know? And it's funny because there's a lot of us that do great things in the community that are seen as, you know, like they're respected, they're known. But a lot of us are like, feel like nobody cares, man, or like we're all alone in this, or nobody sees the work or whatever it is. And it's like, it's not true, but it just feels, at least from my perspective and some of my friends, I can't speak for you, but sometimes it just feels that way. Like, where does that actual true fulfillment come into play? Like, because that's ultimately, I think, what I'm searching for is like, how do I actually feel fulfilled and not disconnected?
Yeah.
And a part of something. I think that's another thing I struggle with is like, I don't really feel that I'm a part of it. Anything that's making a real impact yet. Now, I have friends that tell me different, but they're my friends and they're looking out and, you know, and they say things about the podcast. And I'm like, you know, I appreciate that. But like, I want to, you know, make an impact in the world that actually makes people's lives better. So
That's
do you
fair.
relate with any of that?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. And I think the tricky part that I have been kind of challenged with is when I am in those seasons where I'm head down, working a lot of hours, not seeing anybody, not too many people, not connecting with people. I'll also will notice I'm like looking at Instagram or seeing what other people are doing, and it almost makes it, you know, more disconnected. You feel like you're out of the loop, you're not a part of something. And so I've tried to stay off of some of those platforms for that reason, because it doesn't, mental health wise, I don't think it helps out a whole lot.
terrible,
You know?
man.
It was
It's reverse inspiration. What did I call it? It was like, I had a word for it, but it's basically, it de-inspires you.
yeah, well, you get into the habit of comparing,
Yeah.
seeing what you're not getting to do or something like that. And you're seeing everybody's highlight reels, and that's hard to remember that you're not seeing everything. So
I have a question for you, man.
yeah.
Based off the social media thing. Do you think it's possible to be a creative, a brand, and this day and age and not use social media?
No, you have to
have to,
use
right?
it, but I think for me personally, there's a difference between putting things on there versus scrolling endlessly. Yeah,
The mind
I have
trap,
to-
yeah.
I have to kind of set limits for that, just so I don't.
One thing
Waste
I started
time.
doing is just so I got a few ideas on this. One, I would just delete the app on my phone, and then I would, if it's like a still post, I would just do it from the desktop version, because you can't nearly get sucked into scrolling on the desktop version. But you can't also do like stories. You can't post stories. You can't post
really?
reels. You can only post like a still photo, like a normal post. So that's how I was doing like still photos. The other aspect is like, yeah, if it's on your phone, like really having intention of not scrolling. Like get on there, do what you got to do and get off. Check your messages, get off. But it's way harder when it's on your phone, of course. Like, and especially your day-to-day phone. So my other solution of how I want to do this is having a social media phone, like an iPhone just for my social media and keeping that in the office. And I use it to post
It's not a bad
and
idea.
do that. And it's never on my normal phone. People that need to message me and, whatever, like they'll have to wait until I check that phone, So that's kind of another solution because I feel if it's on your normal phone, they have it engineered so that you basically are going to end up on Instagram when you were trying to put something in your calendar. You know what I mean? Or you were trying to look up somebody's phone number and call that person, and somehow you just ended up on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's poisonous, man. A lot of aspects of it, I think, are increasing that feeling of feeling disconnected, and creating this like false community. Because I'm not gonna say there's not good communities or nothing good on Instagram. That's not the case, but there is this, I think, sense of it increasing our feeling of loneliness because most of us are not able to day to day live and do the things you see being done on Instagram. Whether that's for me, like snowboarding clips, I'm like, I wish I could remember what I called this inspiration, but it's basically like inspiration that's actually harmful because it's like you think you're being inspired by this snowboarding post, but psychologically you're like, I'll probably never ride somewhere that cool ever. You know what I mean? Like, so how it kind of like reverses on you is kind of something I think to look at. Like, is it really inspiring you, or are you really feeling like you're just missing out and you're never gonna reach those plateaus in life?
It's all of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Trying to find a way to limit, I think, is a good way to go about it.
I think they have that thing too where you can like set a time limit, right, on the app. But if you really want to, you can just go right around it. Like they need to create it to where it's like, no, you can't. Once you reach 30 minutes a day, like you can't get out of it.
Have you seen I saw an ad for something you have to put your phone up to. You have to scan, it uses NFC, and I can't remember. It makes you have to do a certain amount of push-ups to be able to unlock those apps.
Oh yeah, I did hear about that. Yeah,
kind of a nice way to.
Hey man, I'm down with that.
Get some exercise.
I did my push-ups today, man.
Nice, good. No, I
didn't make it to the gym, so I was like, I got to do some push-ups.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but whatever you need to do to limit time on a device, it's always challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yep, it's gonna just become more increasingly challenging, I think. So, yeah, I mean, but taking into account, the mental health of it all, something that I'm trying to figure out, and yeah, I'm always curious how it's affecting other people.
It probably is, and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah, I think some people do, and then I think some people they really love it. Like they don't. Maybe they just don't feel like that sense of it consuming or being an addiction or whatever that is. But for me, I just I had to take it off my phone for a while because I was I would just literally be, like I said, trying to go do something else on my phone, and all of a sudden I'm on Instagram scrolling and looking at stuff that is just taking time away from me focusing on the things I'm supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And So like just trying to get back time right now, I think is challenging now. It feels like we have way less time in a day than before with this technology because it's so easy to be distracted by it. And so I feel that there has to be some extreme measures that I have to take to like keep myself in line without, falling prey to these apps, this social media that also is being said that you have to have it, you have to use it to be anything basically in this world.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah. Another thing I've seen too is to batch create posts. So you think of it more of getting things queued up for a week at a time, put a focused amount of time into it, set it, and then let it go. Then you have to kind of go and check it, but you can just build a calendar of content from a promotional standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really smart way to do it.
Yeah. That way you can set it, have a game plan, set out, put it into a calendar, build it all out, let it go.
Yeah. But then you got people commenting on those.
I know.
No,
What do you do?
What do you do?
Hire a social media manager.
That's right. Do you guys do that?
We work on that as a team internally, and then we do some posts for other clients and kind of schedule those out as well.
Cool. All right. Well, there's another service with background creative. Let's get into your painting, your style of painting. How do you describe your style? Do you have a certain, is there a name for your style?
I don't know if there's a name. I've been calling it kind of mixed media because sometimes I'll layer in different things. I think of it a lot like building a file in Photoshop, if you will. So many layers and building it up, and that's kind of where that came from. But I've always loved to build in a little bit of a story through mixed media and different layers of paint. I hide quite a bit of things in my work, either symbolic or some type of message in there. Sometimes I'll do it with like UV paint. You wouldn't know that unless you hit it with like a black light or something. But
that's cool.
It's always been fun to do that.
You have like a very streamlined aesthetic right now. It seems like it all, you can tell it's Jesse Pierpoint. When did you kind of develop that style? Has it been for quite a time now, or?
Yeah, I guess it's been evolving and developing for quite a few years.
Yeah.
I started painting more when I moved to the Northwest after I got asked to paint for a church service at Life Center Church. Pastor Joe Whitwer, a phenomenal pastor, asked me to paint live during a Christmas service. And I'd never done anything like that. So it was a fun challenge to paint in front of a bunch of people. And then you had to do it for like 5 services, 5 times in a row.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I started out painting with oils, and then I switched over to acrylics then to have something that dried faster and worked in that format. So
when did you move to Spokane?
I moved here in 2001, I believe 2001. It was. Yeah.
And what brought you to Spokane?
So I was working at a church in Southern California called Faith Community Church, and I was doing a bunch of design and graphics, promotion, all their marketing materials down there. And an agency brought me up here, offered me a job, and I took it.
Was that 7-2, or was that a different agency at the time?
Yeah, it was called Beach W1.
Okay.
They're responsible for getting us up here.
Okay, cool. So I was just curious on the Spokane thing, how you ended up here.
Yeah.
What was your perception at the time when you moved up here from California of Spokane? How did you feel about it?
It's a big change. Big change. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never lived in a small city before, so
yeah,
it felt like we were moving to the country, and yeah,
It was a lot smaller back
it was a
then, too.
big culture change for
Yeah.
sure.
What were some of the like highlights that you remember though from moving from here? Like some of the positive things that you liked about Spokane?
No traffic,
Yeah.
no smog. There wasn't a whole lot of gun issues back then.
Yeah. Back then it was
So
pretty
the
chill.
the amount of like violence and stuff was low comparatively. So yeah, that's and
The
it's
homeless situation wasn't
right.
as crazy. It's
That's
always
right.
been here, but wasn't as
Not quite
crazy.
this level. Yeah.
Yeah, this is another level here going on.
The other piece was when we moved here. I remember my neighbors came out and talked to me, and I was like, "What are these guys selling?" Like kind of standoffish because I
Yeah.
wasn't used to people just being nice. So that was refreshing, and still friends with those neighbors to the day. So
Well, that's cool.
yeah, it was rad.
What past painting commissions have you done recently? Like what were the imageries that you painted? You want to tell us a few that kind of stand out and the stories behind them?
Sure. The ones that are most memorable,
Yeah.
I'd say, are there's a few groups that I've been painting for and with over the last few years. One of them is for a friend that got diagnosed with ALS. And I've been doing some different commission pieces and bring him down to Arizona where he lives to auction them off, and the proceeds go to helping other people with that struggle or have ALS because the cost of just trying to stay alive is so high. It's just an awful disease, but those are probably the most meaningful types of pieces. So
What were the paintings of? Do you remember some of them?
let's see. There was one that I did of Mike Tyson getting knocked out by Buster Douglas. There was there's one, it's actually on my homepage. It's a story of my friend Eric, of his journey before he got diagnosed with ALS and now what it is now. And it was actually really difficult to make because it's a story of his life.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a legacy piece for his family, but really meaningful. I think I did a couple others for them. I think there was a Monopoly piece he wanted me to paint, get out of jail free, get out of jail kind of a visual, but yeah, those are cool.
I seen one. I think this was a giveaway you did of the moose. Yeah, that one was cool, man.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah,
I mean, we get moose out of my cabin, so it's always like special when you get to see one. I just thought
So
that
big.
one was. I think I missed. I seen it after the giveaway already happened. I was like, dang it. I wish I would have known before. I would have entered.
I've never done anything like that. It was really fun. And then
That was awesome. Really liked that one.
my daughter Sophia and I picked the winner. We put all the names that kind of, he got into either I can't remember, like or share, and put all the names into a like a random generator. And when the winner got picked, it was pretty serendipitous because it's a good friend and collector, and it was awesome. Yeah,
Sweet.
yeah, fun to do those.
Are there any upcoming projects you can tell us about that you're working on for your painting?
I have some commission pieces, some new projects, some new just originals that I'm working on. So hoping to build a collection of work for a few shows coming up.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
This will lead me into some good stuff. So you have your originals. These are going to be paintings from your imagination and like visuals of what you want to do,
Yeah, there'll be a theme around it,
and like a layout from painting to painting kind of a theme.
yeah.
Okay. That's cool. do you have a theme laid out yet that you're willing to share for like what you're rolling out?
Sure. Some of the first pieces that are in that, it's kind of I call it the silhouette series. I don't know if that's what'll end up being after everything's done, but that's kind of the direction on it. So got a couple of initial pieces. They'll have a very similar palette and imagery, I guess.
But obviously based on silhouettes, like of some kind of nature.
That's right.
Yeah. And then, so with your commissions, that's where people can come to you and hire you to create a painting of whatever imagery they want in your style. Because you stay in your style for your commissions, but they can kind of say, this is what I want painted by you.
Yeah. And if it's not something that I specialize in, I'll definitely refer them to other great artists that are better at that than I am.
Where does it start? Where's your, like, what's the, so if somebody wants to come to you for a commission, what's like the minimum price that you take for a painting, or how do you structure that business as far as if somebody wants to?
Typically, I'll get a request, and a lot of my requests come from interior designers or people that, have a wall that they've always wanted to get a piece of artwork for, or something happened in their life and they wanted to capture it or have that as a piece of work. And so what I love to create is somebody's story or something that's very memorable to you, personal to you. So if you see my work, a lot of them are one-off pieces, and they don't really have any rhyme or reason to them because of that. But I like to make things that connect with somebody. So once I get that request, it's a very like collaborative process where you tell me the size, or we go measure it out a size. We'll talk about what you're looking for and how to put it together and come up with ideas, sketches, compositions, colors.
Yeah.
You get to pick it all. And then typically I'll record the process of that piece. If people are local, sometimes they'll come over into the studio, which is right now in my basement. And paint it up.
How much does something like that cost?
It's really expensive.
Yeah. I figured. That's what I was guessing.
No, I don't know.
Does it depend on the project?
It depends. It's usually
like
on the size.
Set, size.
Yep.
And okay, all right. Well, if you want to get a custom painting from Jesse, he's your man. You should definitely check out his stuff. We'll have the information in the show notes. It's not the end. I'm just saying you should get something from this man if you can, because his work's amazing. And
thanks,
from my perspective, you're a staple in the Spokane community, in the art community. I've known you. I don't even know how we met. Was it through Zome?
Through Zome, yeah. Braden.
It was through Zome and Braden, right? Okay,
Yep.
yeah. That's what it's been so long since we met. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was through Zome. And then, didn't we have a mutual friend, or did you come to me with me on that project for Tin Bender Distillery?
Oh, man.
Can't even remember that
I did their
fella's name.
Their logo and their labels.
Yeah, we met with him together on some merchandise design. I think you probably referred him to Zone, and I ended up working with him.
Yep, that was fun.
Yeah,
that was a fun project.
Yeah, that was a good minute ago. So I've always enjoyed knowing you. I just think you're a very grounded person when I'm around you, and you're inspirational. The art that you create is, I don't know, it does, you can tell there's a story when you look at your artwork. There's like a lot of depth to it, and not to like be a pun, but layers, like the layers that you put into it, it gives this like, I don't know, really deep feeling to your artwork. And the color tones that you use too, they definitely, I don't know, invoke kind of a certain kind of emotion that I feel when I look at your artwork. It feels deep and it's like inspirational, but it's almost like dreamlike. The way I interpret it, it's almost like this dreamlike state of artwork, or like a memory almost too. That could maybe be another way to describe it from my perception. But it's cool. I mean, it's cool that I get to do this podcast because it allows me to get to know somebody like you who I've known for a long time at a way deeper level myself. And hopefully, get you some commissions out there. You know what I'm saying? People, come on now.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The craziest part about painting for me is each time I do a piece, I just realize how much I don't know and how much I want to keep learning and getting better and better. And usually about halfway through a painting, I'm not sure if this is like that for any other creators, you get into a place where you're like, why am I doing this? I suck at this. You get that self-doubt. And
imposter syndrome.
Yeah,
kind of
it's thing. Like, there's no way this is going to turn out. I don't know where that comes from. It's 20 plus years doing art, still there, still, you just got to keep pushing. And there was a painting I did. It was a big painting, and I had it all sketched out. And half of that painting took me a day, and then the other half took me like 4 weeks. I repainted it. It's a 20-foot piece. I repainted it 7 or 8 times on the other half.
Yeah.
I just wasn't. You go through this like, no,
how do you
it's not right.
how do you repaint? So you just, how would you do that?
Oh man.
How do you
at
actually
that size, I rolled it with a roller, just started over.
Oh, okay. You just rolled over and then paint on top of it? Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But so I mean, just gotta keep going. Try again, try something different. Yeah.
Well, that's this is a good leeway. The mentality is something that I wanted to talk to you about, of being a creative, being an artist, and you have obviously a very specific skill set that you're using for your medium, this painting, mixed media. But like you're saying, there's times where you question, are you good enough? Why am I doing this? Keep going is obviously like one of the biggest essential things. And maybe that's all that really needs to be said sometimes, right? It's like that idea, keep going. But like, how do you get back to a place to make that decision to keep going mentally?
Sure, yeah.
What are maybe some of the mental cycles you go through?
The self-doubt is there, and you just can't pay attention to it or give it any energy, or you just have to keep pushing, keep working. And it's easy to quit, and it's not easy to keep. Just like with anything, I think being consistent and just getting one step forward, that's what I try to tell myself, is I'm not going to get this totally nailed down, but I can get it a little bit further, and it will get completed, but it might not be.
Do you feel you deal with like perfectionism?
No.
Have you ever felt like you dealt with that?
I mean, I want things to be quality,
right,
and have meaning. I'm not a perfectionist.
That's good. Yeah.
I think I have this deep fear of not or running out of work, or running out of
Well, it's
things
going
to
dry
do,
up.
or so I think that's just because of how I was raised, and I don't have a scarcity mindset, but I definitely have I don't have a umbrella or somebody to, no one's coming to save me. So
Yeah.
I will get it done.
Hmm.
So,
So you feel that that mentality kind of overrides the perfectionism?
yeah.
Yeah. That's good. I definitely have dealt with perfectionism. I probably still do to some degree in my work. And letting go of that has been, I think, big for me and letting myself move forward because I have used this ideal of perfectionism of like, oh, I'm going to reach the highest standards actually as a way to procrastinate what I'm doing and actually sabotage what I'm
Oh,
doing.
I see. Yep.
And
I get that.
I've done that multiple times with city chapters. I've talked about it before on the podcast. And so like those were some hard lessons for me to learn that like, oh yeah, dude, like, yeah, reach quality, provide quality, but these insanely high standards make getting to where you want to get to unattainable because you only have so much resources to work with at certain given times until you are maybe at a platform that's a massive brand. But even then, there's mistakes that happen and little imperfections that manufacturers send you product with, and you have to accept it and still sell it, and, there's, variations to that. But I, I feel for me, one way of getting past my self doubts and whatever was letting go of my perfectionism for me, because my doubts would come from it's not good enough, it's not perfect enough, and now I'm not good enough because I'm not putting out what I think needs to be at a higher standard.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know if it's like lowering my standards. That doesn't feel like the right way to say it, but I guess just maybe a better way is saying accepting imperfection more because nothing's perfect, right?
I was going to say nothing's going to be perfect, and you can definitely overwork something. So
Yeah.
knowing when done is, especially if you're talking about fine art. Fine art, it can be overdone, and then you ruin it. You can continue to overwork it, and then it's like, well, it was really good, hours ago, and you broke it.
Dude, I did that. I did it with a project yesterday. I was overlaying a pattern on a distressed pattern onto a graphic. And in Illustrator, you can just like get in there and you're like, oh, where does this little speckle need to lay for the distressing pattern on this letter? And it's like, yes, it matters, but at the same time, like I redid it so many times to get it exactly how I wanted. I'm like, ultimately on a t-shirt, like this isn't really gonna matter all that much.
Yeah.
And
The beauty with that though is you can see it, and then you can at least edit and omit and start to pull it back to where because I like to get a range and then find the right combination. It's like a puzzle, right? I think of design and building out creative as a puzzle. Get all the pieces in there and find the best way to pull it together. Bring in that Tetris, but how can you do it? And then what things are not really necessary or needed to pull it out so you get a good balance. So
yeah,
that's tricky though.
yeah. With your painting, do you lose yourself in it? Like sometimes when you're painting, do you like kind of go to a blissful state or something? Like, do the hours just slip by sometimes?
I suppose it depends on the painting I'm working on. If it depends, sometimes a lot of my paintings, I'll either put a great podcast on. I've listened to some of yours on there.
My man, you did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hell yeah, inspire some Jesse Pierpoint baddies. Let's go.
I'll have basketball.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll watch some Gonzaga games or soccer games. It depends. But yeah, movies, podcasts, audiobooks. I'll make
Yeah.
long phone calls that I need to catch up on. So I'll find other things to do to kind of not waste that time. But it does allow me to turn off everything else and
Yeah.
kind of hyper focus on certain things.
Yeah, I was just curious if you kind of enter that state of, not thinking when you paint. Because, like, when I snowboard or, things like that I love to do, like, I don't think about my day to day problems, business problems. That all kind of just fades away when I'm in the act of doing that.
In the flow.
Yeah, flow state, right? And I would imagine that painting can happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
And then there's times where you got to get into that go state and you just got to crank and try to get things done. And yeah.
what's the number one advice you would give to individuals that want to pursue creative careers?
Number one piece of advice.
From your perspective,
Yeah.
what you feel is like one of the most important lessons and things you've learned to implement to keep you going, inspired.
Sure. Find a good mentor, find somebody that's good at doing it and watch them, connect with them. I think COVID did a big disservice to the creative community when everybody went and worked independently out of their homes or single offices. The community, the like designers and creatives, if you're learning and trying to level up, being able to sit next to somebody and watch and learn right there is so key. It's beneficial. I watched over the years so many great creatives and designers come up who started, inexperienced, but
Yeah.
had great attitudes, great talent, and just blew up. Now it takes longer to be able to. It seems like that's just my perspective, but yeah, find good resources. There's a ton of resources online to connect to and read or watch. There's a bunch of new tools out there. So yeah, in that regard, I think that'd be my advice: is connect with people.
Connect with people.
It's going to be we're going to loop back to that all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm really making efforts towards doing more of. Starting this year, I've been doing that more. Like trying to be out in the community more, even if that means just going to a farmer's market for a little bit and grabbing something there from some of the vendors, or just figuring out different ways to connect. But yeah, I think, being around individuals that are better than you and what you're trying to pursue to do, if you can figure that out, that's going to be invaluable to your growth. And I mean, you can learn on YouTube, but same thing. It's kind of like you can, and that's good. It's a good resource, especially like when you're in the middle of a project and you forgot how to do something or whatever. And it's like, okay, I can look there real quick. But I still don't think you can ever really take away from being in presence with somebody else right there and then, and that live, real feedback and and having that person that can, like, I did something with Josh Wing over at the Great PNW, and like he taught me two different things that I use in Photoshop like all the time now, and they were simple little things I just didn't even know I didn't know.
Crazy that you can use a software so long and still learn.
Yeah,
I'm still finding different things and learning different things. Yeah. The only thing I know is how much I don't know.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
Got a lot to learn still.
Yeah, it's the depths of like Photoshop and Illustrator. Like some of those guys, like over there at the warehouse, like Derek Landers and stuff, like they be speaking a different language.
Yeah.
With how they know their shortcuts and stuff. It's wild. Well, where do we go? Oh, I had a question. Do you read? Do you like reading?
I do. With my time, I usually put an audiobook on. But,
Okay.
yeah, I've been trying to read more.
Do you have any books right now you're listening to?
Dang, that's a good one.
Or do you have any favorite books to recommend?
Oof. Is there I can get you a list. You can put it in the
Yeah,
show notes.
we can do
'Cause
that.
I do.
So we'll put them in the show notes.
I am listening to 3 books right now. One of them's a John Maxwell book. Trying to remember the other 2. But yeah, I'll
We'll put
bounce
'em in
back
the
and
list,
forth.
yeah. Yeah, cool. Sweet. Well, I look forward to seeing the list. I'm a big reader. That's one question I want to start asking more too. And part of like the branding of the brand, chapter stories, like books and all that. So I think that's a question I want to
That's a good
definitely
one.
implement more into the podcast because I just want to read more books myself. So cool. All right. I think we can wrap it up, my man.
Well,
Unless
thank you
you
so
have
much.
anything else you would like to share. And
No, I'm not really
good?
good at the sharing part. So yeah, thanks
Cool.
for bearing with me.
Yeah. No, dude, it was an honor, Jesse, to have you on, man.
It's good to
I
see
just
you.
want to acknowledge you, have you on, share your story, buy a painting from my man. As soon as I get my money right, I'm buying one. So buy some stuff from city chapters too. No. All right. No, but seriously, this is closing it up. This is City Chapters Podcast. I'm your host, Bobby J. Today's chapter was with Jesse Pierpoint. We'll put all his Instagram, social media, websites, all that will be in the show notes along with his book list. And shout out Spokecast for sponsoring and producing my show. Till next time, take care.